Hey guys, it's Justine here from I Should Read That. Today I'm going to be talking about The Last Namsara by Kristen Ciccarelli. So this is a debut YA fantasy novel. I really like this book a lot, but I did have some problems with it, so I'm just going to dive right in. The Last Namsara follows Asha. She is the princess of her kingdom. Her father is the Dragon King, and she is the Iskari. She is the Dragon Slayer. Essentially, when she was a child, she did this horrible thing. I won't say what it was. She did this thing. She's sort of been repenting that ever since. So in order to make things right, she has been tasked by her father to slay every dragon in the land. Another way that she is sort of paying reparations is she is going to marry a young man named Jarek. He's in charge of her father's armies. He is a horrible, horrible man. He's awful, he's abusive, he is very manipulative and tries to control her. Bad guy. So when her father offers her a way out of this by killing the first dragon, the oldest dragon, she hops on that opportunity right away. And of course, things ensue. So what I loved about this book, I thought the plot and the world building were amazing. Something that she does really, really well is that she takes these kind of tired old fantasy tropes that we all know and love so well. So like dragons, or old traditions of these thousand-year-old fantasy civilizations. And she takes them and she twists them on their head and makes them something so incredibly fresh and new. It was really, really great. I have to admit, I am in the minority. I think I really don't enjoy dragons. I just don't find them interesting. I feel like everything with dragons has been done before until I read this book. I loved the way that she handled the dragons in this book. I won't say anything because of spoilers, but just trust me, she does something that's very new and very, very cool with them. Something that's really great that she does, instead of doing sort of a big info dump, but so like the story is like this, but you get these sort of almost like interludes of these old stories, and old stories play a really, really big role in this book. They're pulled out of the book because they're a completely separate color, and they sort of tell you things that are going to become important. And I just thought that that was such a clever way of doing things. I love it when an author can give you lots of information and they can do it in a way where you don't feel like overwhelmed by the amount of info that you're getting. I loved Asha as a character. I actually loved all of the women as characters. I thought that she did a really, really good job of creating these really fierce women who were believable and who were strong but still emotional. So Asha is the Iskari. She's the Dragon Slayer. She's isolated in a way because no one is allowed to look at her, no one is allowed to touch her. She inspires fear in people. She is very, very, very close with her cousin, who is Sapphire. In private, they have this wonderful relationship. They love each other so much. And so many of Asha's actions and decisions in this book are for Sapphire. So that's the good. I really, really love plot, world building, characters, female characters. What I had a problem with was the male characters, but mostly I had a big problem with the love interest and the romance. So Jarek is her sort of betrothed. He's a horrible, horrible man. He's like classic mustache twirling evil. He's awful, he's horrible, and one thing that he does is that he like grabs her arm and like digs his fingers into her and like pulls her around, and so hard that he gives her bruises. So that's going to become important in a second. So I had a big problem with the love interest, as I said. So Torwin is one of Jarek's slaves. I really struggled with him as a character and with him as a partner for Asha. Remember a couple seconds ago I mentioned the sort of the grasping? Jarek does this, so does Torwin. Torwin does the exact same thing. He's very physical with her, and I did not like that. This is something that I have a problem with in general, and I see a lot of in YA. There's that kind of almost like you have to be violent in order to show your passion, and does this a lot. So he'll do things where like he'll grab her arm if he's angry with her. There's one part I remember where they're kind of having a heated argument, and he basically grabs her and crushes her to his body until all the fight goes out of her, which is, to me, is completely horrifying. So I really did not like how physical he was with her. The other problem that I had with him is that, to me, and a lot of the male characters like Dax, her brother, just fundamentally don't understand her. They don't get her. Explaining this would be a little bit spoilery, but later on in the book, she has to make some decisions. Torwin does not like them. He wants to like grab her and run off, and they can, you know, gallivant around and have their happily ever after, but she has obligations. She has things that she needs to do. Because of the person that she is, she needs to do these things. And he throws hissy fits. He's horrible, he's awful, he's guilting her, trying to manipulate her. And to me, I'm just like, you don't know who this woman is at all. If you knew who she was, you would understand this. You would want to help her, and he does not. I think that this problem with Torwin is honestly because insta-love. It's insta-love on his part, it's not on hers, and because he falls in love with her immediately, he doesn't take the time to get to know her as a person. So Dax, her brother, is kind of like this too, but to a lesser degree. A lot of the male characters are like this. They just don't get her. Where the women are so strong and so incredibly cool and powerful, the men are really, really lacking. So overall, I really, really enjoyed The Last Namsara. However, because I had those problems with the romance, and it becomes sort of more and more important as the story goes on. Obviously, it's going to develop. I ended up giving this book a 3.5 stars. I think that story and world building and plot-wise, 4.5 out of 5, easily. If you don't have the same problems with this kind of romance as I do, you need to pick this book up. I'm serious. It's so incredibly well written, it's well plotted, it's fascinating, it's really, really interesting. But for me, I just was not sold on the romance, and I hope that this is something that kind of gets improved upon as Asha and Torwin get to know each other better in future books. I think that this is a amazing debut, and I cannot wait to read the rest of them. So if you've read The Last Namsara, I would love to talk about it. I would especially love to know what you think of the romance. If you've not read it, but you've heard about it, tell me what you think. If you have these problems with these kinds of romances, if you don't, definitely leave me a comment, let me know what you think. I would love to hear about it. So if you liked this video, go ahead and subscribe because I'm going to be doing more video reviews in the future, and I will see you soon.